Hey Gooby, you're now listening to Buddy Time. On today's episode, we're discussing the pros and cons of taking a gap year with our guest speaker, Noelle Martin. Ready to turbocharge your day with us? Let's begin our voyage! Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back again to this episode of Buddy Time. How's everybody feeling today? I want to welcome one of our lovely friends who we met through our movie club. She is one of our movie club regulars, and that's also how we got to become friends. So I still remember the first night, she just popped into our movie night looking really lovely, fresh, young. And surprisingly, she has a really great social skill. She just came in and then started talking, making friends with everyone in movie club. So that interests me. And I'm like, okay, who's this girl? So welcome, Noelle. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, welcome. Also in German, Servus, hallo, was geht ab? It's me, I am Noelle, or as you correctly say, Noelle. I am currently 20 years old and I graduated from high school last year in Germany. And after that, decided to come to Thailand. And ever since I have lived here in Bangkok, traveling around, making friends, as you say, basically just trying to find my way, trying to find my purpose in life, maybe. Yes. Very nice to have me.
How you said that you graduated last year, right, from high school, and then you decided to come over to Thailand. I'm wondering, how did that happen? Why did you decide to come to Thailand? What made you do that?
Actually, I had the thought or the idea of coming to Thailand years ago already, because for me, it was always once I went into high school from middle school, at the time, I already knew that I wanted to leave Germany once I graduate and find new adventures and travel the world, which sounds kind of cheesy, but yes. I think 2022, I came to Thailand with my family for holiday. And I think I already decided then that I wanted to come to Thailand for my time after my graduation. And then after I graduated, I basically already knew and I just planned everything, made the last appointments with the doctors and work to have money and pack my bags and basically planned everything. And then I flew off to come to Bangkok.
I wonder what were the things that actually made you decided to, okay, this is the place that I'm gonna come after my graduation, because it was only how many days of holiday was that, and then what were the things that actually really
made you gravitate towards Thailand? Did you feel safe here?
You mean the holiday that I first came? It was just 2 weeks actually that I was here with my family, but I had already been in Thailand once before in 2017, also for a holiday. And I just like the country a lot. I like the people. They seem really open and really friendly. And I just wanted to leave the living style or the climate of Germany behind and wanted to go somewhere where it's totally different. Also, I wanted to go to Asia. Yeah, just because I thought it was cool to go there.
I've never been to Germany before, but what's the big difference for you between Thailand and Germany?
The lifestyle of the people is really there are rules everywhere and routine everywhere, and you have to do this and you have to do that, and you cannot venture out of that much. And also for me, it was just because of the environment of school, I felt I always just did the same things and I just wanted to have freedom, which is I think also possible in Germany, but I just wanted a total change. And I think Thailand is really open in that way. Yeah, just even if you just look at the streets, for example, like the way they drive. I mean, it's just an example, but like
So you're saying that you love insane driving. People who are just like swishing and whooshing and going like left and right, and like there's no lanes, like 2 lanes become 4 lanes. That's what you love?
not necessarily, but I think it's like the symbolic symbol of the freedom, or like more not so being in this like, how to say, pre-written routine, I guess. And like people are more chill sometimes here.
What I get from that, it's like the word freestyle, I would say. Like maybe in Thailand to you feels more like everything is like a freestyle. Even, you know, driving on the roads can be quite freestyle. Well, not that Thailand doesn't have rules. Thailand have rules too, but maybe in comparison to Germany, I believe that the rules in Germany are quite rigid, I would say. Then maybe that's also why, you know, for some people, some Asian people, we feel like, oh, Germany is such a pretty place because everything is very clean, neat, you know, tidy. Whereas here, we're always used to, you know, how crazy or sometimes even chaotic the place is. But this is, you know, where we are used to. And I'm also interested to know, the first 2 times you came to Thailand, it was all just like maybe 2 weeks of holidays, traveling, and you already developed some kind of interest in Thailand. So now that you've actually lived here for quite a while already, do you still think that, you know, the first impression that you had with Thailand during the first 2 times you came, and after you've been living for a while, is there any changes like in how you think Thailand would be?
I think the thing is, when you live in a place long, you start to get used to the way it is. Like everything that at the beginning makes you feel excited or makes you feel like, wow, this is so pretty, you start to not even notice anymore, because you, like, for example, you walk past it every day and it's suddenly not that like exciting anymore. But I feel like even though you live in a place long, you can still try to, as we also talked earlier about it, like find the spark in the things that have become like normality for you. And I like to just take a moment and think back what I like thought was so exciting about this country and like about the people. And also when my sister and my mom came to visit me a couple of weeks ago, my sister brought this excitement back to me, because she saw it from this like maybe touristy perspective again, but like she was so excited about everything, being able to buy food on the street for like so little money, or taking the MRT anywhere, and like the warm weather, blah 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 blah. And I mean, it's sometimes when you live in this country, you might get annoyed by, for example, the hot weather or like the loud noises, but I think it's good to take like a moment to step back and see the beauty actually of the place that you're living in and reappreciate it.
I'm literally smiling like while I'm saying this as well, because I did also forget. I was about to like interject while you were talking and say that you actually enjoy the weather here, because I actually don't really love it because it's so humid. People normally complain so much about it, but then the grass is always greener on the other side, right? So when you talk about how your sister came with your mother and they really enjoy the difference that they can experience of like the weather from Germany compared to Thailand, they really enjoy that. And it's a very nice little thing to sort of like a self-reminder to myself after hearing that. It's like we should appreciate more of the little things around us, even though we walk past it every single day, you know, and we might forget for a moment maybe that we came here for a reason and we once loved it for a reason, or we still love it for a reason, but maybe we just don't think about it anymore, you know? I just thought that that's a very a tangent thing that came into my mind, and it's so lovely to hear. And thank you for reminding me of how beautiful, you know, every moment of my life can be. And bringing us back to the very first thing that you mentioned when you introduced yourself, how you said that you graduated high school and then you decided to come to Thailand right after that. I'm wondering, is this a thing that is typical in high schoolers after graduation in Germany, or is this something that you yourself decided to do?
I would say for German people, it's really common to do something like a gap year. While I have heard that for Asian people, it's really uncommon to do that. Like they go to university right away, but German people like to do either like a volunteering year in Germany or something of that kind, go to the army. Some people do that, or like I do, or I did, take a gap year and like travel to some place, do there maybe some volunteering work or like something of that kind, like work with children or animals. And I would say while it is really common to do a gap year in Germany, I think that I'm doing kind of like an unconventional gap year because I didn't come here with any like program or anything.
So normally would you say that people who go for gap years, who are like probably maybe your friends from school who go to gap years after graduation, they go on like a program, like a sort of like an internship? Is that what it is, or is it different?
Yeah, I would say it's like an internship. There are certain companies that do these gap years. Like, for example, I had one friend who went to a French university and it was like a cooperation project or something, and you have to apply for it. And in the beginning, initially, I also wanted to join like a volunteering project in Thailand, but I decided against it just because I thought that I think even though it can bring you a lot of like great experiences, like the things that I looked at was volunteering projects with children. I think that I'm not the most suiting person for working with children. And also I just wanted to live in Thailand. That was my like goal, or the thing I wanted to do. So I just came here on my own and not with any company or anything.
I know of gap year as well because some of the more, I would say, international students who come from abroad that I studied with in high school, after they graduated, that's how I learned about gap year as well, that some of them decide to take gap year and they don't go straight into university. And I think it's a very interesting topic to get into because I believe that this is not common in Asian countries. And so, there's just so many questions that pop up in my head, and I didn't take a gap year myself. So I'm wondering, like, how long does a typical gap year take between people? Is it just 1 year, or do people sometimes take multiple years?
I just had to think. I forgot about the people that do like work and travel, as you spoke, because I forgot about the people that just travel, as you said, like go to some country and work and travel there. It's like really typical for German people to do that in New Zealand or Australia. That's like, I would say, the most typical place for German people to go for their gap year. And it's kind of what everyone thinks of when they hear the word gap year. And to come to your question, I think most people really just go for a year. Like it depends whether they do like a program. These programs are mostly 4 months or 6 months. You can choose. Some are also 1 year. But I think most people take like 1 year off before they start to apply for universities and then join the universities.
I think the concept of gap year is quite familiar in like the European countries because I remember when I was studying in Northern Ireland, it was during my bachelor's degree. And even in bachelor's degree, they also have a gap year. If I remember it correctly, the gap year was in year 3. So bachelor's degree, we have 4 years, right? And then they would have a gap year after you finish year 3. And then, well, I guess it's because of its university. So the year 3 gap year is more so for you to go out and have work experience. And that was also the criteria given by the university as well. I remember we have 2 options after year 3. The first one is you can take a gap year, but that gap year is for you to go out and find jobs and have work experience. And then you come back with, it's just like people going out for internship, but they do it in a gap year style. And then the second option is you don't do the gap year. Basically means you don't do the internship or work experience. And you just continue to year 4. Yeah, and back then I thought about considering trying out the gap year as well because I never had any real job experience in an European country. So I thought, yeah, why not try it? But because family situation where Asian typical mindset is, why waste your time? Like, just finish your 4-year study and then do whatever, like, just finish your 4-year study and then continue with a proper job, proper career. That's more so of I would say typical Asian style mindset.
If I'm hearing what you're saying correctly, I feel like I have even more questions now, because I did experience that with my bachelor's degree. I didn't hear of people taking gap year in a bachelor's degree. So it's so interesting for me to hear this. Like, I have a question for Sin, like in this particular thing that you mentioned. So the 4th year, if they do take a gap year, is that considered another, like, technically it's called gap year, right? But then they want you to go do internships. So technically it's basically doing internships, which are already like a part of the program. For most universities in Thailand, we work with interns who have these requirements for them to graduate within the 4-year program. So for me, I don't see I'm not making an understanding to the program of why they are encouraging their students perhaps for a 4th year gap year, in quotation mark, to go discover themselves. And another question I would have is also, do they pay for this gap year or do they not pay for it? Like, is the university just being like, okay, sort of like you're deferred by 1 year and then come back? So technically, if that's the case, I wouldn't even view it as a 4-year program. That would be a 5-year program for me, because if I take that, it becomes an extra year. That's how, I guess, like, if we are going to say like Asian people, I would say that that's an Asian mind thinking. But at the same time, in my own experiences, I feel like most people around me that I've experienced, they want to graduate as soon as possible, because most people go to school because they want the degree. The degree is what makes that, of course, education as well. But the whole point of after the education is the degree is what validates you, that you've completed that program, you've completed the education. So I find it hard to think about people who would want to take an extra year off, not finishing what they're paying for just to get that degree, So in your experiences of this, can you explain to me a little bit more of what is going on?
Well, I guess the main difference, I'm only sharing my experience from the university I went to, which is in a European country. My university might not represent other university in a European country. So just in my case, the reason why I associate this with gap year is because back then we literally used the gap year as the term to describe this, as an option. So technically it's not really an internship, because it can also be a work experience. And the difference, I would say, comparing to the interns that we work with in Buddy Up, is in Thailand, the system is required, it's compulsory. You need to achieve certain things, or you need to have an internship experience in order for you to be graduated from this program in the university. But for us, it was an option. You can either just choose to take the quotation gap year to do whether or not it's internship or work experience, and then you come back to continue your 5th year, like you said, with the study. Or just don't take a gap year, just continue and finish your finish your education as soon as possible. So I would say that's the main difference. It's an option.
I find that option like bonkers, because I'm like, why would you want to take honestly, if it's me and then I go for a gap year, I come back on my 4th year or 5th year, technically, I would probably forgotten everything I've studied. I just took a year off. I'm like, if I already started working, I probably just want to just keep working. I'm like, why am I going back to school? Noelle, would you take a gap year if it was offered in this way?
Maybe not, because I think the same way that you do. I think also this type of gap year is really different from the gap year that European people tend to take, because it's not like that related to work in itself, because it's not the focus is not working or getting work experience, I think, but like getting personal experience and like growing personal growing personally. But yes, I think I wouldn't do that, because I think the same way, like I just want to get my degree done first and then start to work.
I Noelle just brought up a really interesting point that I also just like was like, oh, a light bulb moment, because I actually do see that what you've said, like from my experiences as well. I tend to see more Western people when they do go for gap year. I was gonna use the word lazy, but not technically lazy, but they're more so about self-discovering. They go travel the world and they're like, I want to know who I am. I want to do this, and like get to know who I am and get in touch with my soul and whatever, right? But like in Asia, we're brought up to be more like, you need to go try this job, try that job for the skills, like the skill set. Skills are everything. So if I'm getting what you're saying correctly, like I do see that difference is like if we're just talking not about gap year, but just about like going for internship, going for jobs, when we do have perhaps a gap year, people normally in Asia try to hone in and try to use this time to get as much experience as possible, like skill sets for work. But then when I think about Western, when you did like the way Noelle you described, I agree. Like I tend to see them more like traveling, and then they're like, oh, I'm having fun, getting to meet a lot of friends, and that is lovely. Like that's how I would do it too,
Wait, but doesn't that also sound like you just wanna, have a year off from study and then just enjoy life?
Okay, the timing matters for me, so I probably wouldn't take that year off in the university. But if I do have like if my university were to tell me to go take internships or whatever, or if it's mandatory, like if it's a choice, I wouldn't. But if it's mandatory, I would probably also travel the world, take that time to just discover myself.
Do you think it would have been different if you would have taken a gap year before going to university?
Ooh.
Because I think for many people, the reason they take a gap year is because they want a break from studying. Like they're tired of high school exam studying and final exam studying. They just want to take some time off and like maybe get the work experience or like get out of the same environment.
I think that's such a great question, because growing up, we weren't taught about gap year. We were more so taught about how do you climb the ladders of educational degree. Like you're going to finish your bachelor's and maybe you pursue for your master's. And if you have time and money, go for doctorates. Like that's sort of like the imprint of how we are brought up. And now that you've asked me this question, it's like making me really think, because I can only imagine if it would help. And I would say perhaps it would for me. Like it would be so nice to be able to explore more varieties and more options of what I could do with my interests in life. Maybe today I would have more than just what I am doing right now. Yeah, what about you, Sin?
Yeah, like this is such a great question because it challenges, I would say, again, the Asian mindset, Asian belief as well, especially Asian parents who came from the previous, previous period. The fact that you are asking about taking a gap year right after high school and not pursuing the higher degree. This reminds me of one of this mindset that this company that I recently went to, they share a very similar concept, which is for all the time, we were told that the only way for us to become rich, to make money, to become successful is only after we're able to obtain a good degree. So once you have a good degree, you'll most likely be able to get a good job, right? And that's how you will find a lot of money. That's the most typical way of, if you look into the timeline of how things would happen. Very typical. But with that question, it's like, oh, so the mindset is actually quite different. Because you're not seeing from the mindset of education leads to a perfect career, which leads to success and money. But more so, I would say, in my opinion, it's about self-discovery, self-exploration, the main focus has switched. It's not anymore successful is based on a degree. It's more on maybe successfulness is based on knowing who you are, what you're interested in, and finding about yourself through maybe a gap year. So that taking a gap year right after high school and not pursuing a higher degree, which most people would think that it's equivalent to the first step of your life success, it's quite a challenging thought, I would say, at least in my opinion. Yeah, like, because that means you're not going to be a good kid and study right after high school. You're just gonna go play around, travel around. Like, that's most stereotype thoughts, right?
I think that if we go down this line of discussion, it opens up a whole new thing, which is about maturity. You know, I do believe that people mature in different times. It's not about your age that tells you the maturity. Some young people are very mature. Some old people are very immature. Like, there are people like that. But then I feel like this is so interesting because right now our discussion, it's clearly that we are people who, like Sin and I, we are people who did not go through that option or that thought process of ever being presented the option of a gap year. I think that I can also, and then you're on like the opposite side of this discussion, which is so interesting for myself to also discover, right? Which I can also twist this question and re-ask you back because you're someone who's in this moment taking that gap year. I'm wondering, like, do you feel like you've discovered yourself because you've given this option and you've taken this option throughout this whole 8 months that you've taken a gap year and just like, you know, moving to Thailand to discover yourself? Do you feel like you've found any answers to any of the questions you might have before you taken this gap year?
I think something to answer a question like this, like that, is really hard because I think you will never have that moment of like the moment that we all hope we will get, like, as you said earlier, the light bulb like lighting up and suddenly, you know, oh, I want to do this in my life. I want to pursue that. But I think it's more about like following different things like as they come up maybe. But I think so far I did not discover yet what I want to do in my whole life. But maybe I also don't have to plan for my whole life yet, you know. I think a mindset like you have to go to university right away. You have to as soon start your career of success as soon as possible is a little bit critical, I think. Because maybe you start your career early, but at what cost? Like, will you really be happy through that success? Like, maybe you will never find out that you like that type of thing more, or like actually you wanted to do this all your life. Like, I think it's much more important to like give yourself a little bit more freedom.
What Noelle brought up just now reminds me of some of the new generation parents that
Wait, are we talking about Noelle's parents?
No. Like, no, wait, listen. What I'm about to share is there are some new generation parents, and they're Asian these days, that they actually do something very similar with the concept of what Noelle just brought up, which is normally with like kids, kindergarten kids, when they're at the right age, parents would put them into kindergarten and start their education journey. But there are now some parents who would postpone the study for their kids. They would, let's say, I don't know because I don't have a kid, right? But let's say, the entrance age for kindergarten is, let's say, I don't know, 5 years old. You have to get into like, I don't know, like a kindergarten or a school, right? And then this parent would now postpone it. They would, okay, I think it's better for my kid to enjoy their childhood more, longer time. So I am okay to let my kid get into the study environment a year or 2 years later. So this is what some of the new generation parents are doing for their kids, because they really want their kids to have a longer time of being a child without all the, what do you call those?
Distractions.
Yeah, distraction or stress. Yeah, responsibility. Yeah, that reminds me of this new type of parents. And because we are talking about, self-discovery, and you in the beginning, you also mentioned that you are here to also somewhat trying to figure out yourself, right? So I'm also wondering right now, like with the new life that you've been experiencing in Thailand, to what percentage would you say that you are a different person from when you first came here?
Good question.
She starts speaking Thai. And I was like, oh yeah, sawadee ka.
Yeah, actually, I didn't mention this on the podcast, not just now before, but I'm going to a language school studying Thai, right? And I think I cannot answer this question like as like a definite percentage that I change, but I think just life in itself is a change all the time. Like people change all the time and like find out new things about themselves all the time. And I mean, I think I learned a lot of things. Not only did I study Thai and can speak it, I guess.
Can you show your Thai language skill like just a little, because I know that you can speak pretty well, right?
ไม่ใช่ ฉันอายนะคะ No, actually, I'm not that good at speaking because I think I'm better at listening and understanding, but my speaking is, I think
speaking is the hardest to learn in any languages. Normally the listening comes first because it's easier to catch. Like you can watch Thai film, you can like hear people around you speak, and then you can understand. So like, oh, that tone is about this, right? When I learn languages as well, it's easier to listen to my teachers talk. But then when I need to talk back, that's the hard part, the oral part. Ugh.
What I also wanted to say earlier, sorry, to come back to the question, how much I think I changed or like developed or have grown. I think I've joined a dance team here in Thailand, in Bangkok. And I think that has brought me a lot of times to rethink about how I react to different situations, like how I behave with other people, and like, yeah, it just made me rethink a lot of things. And I think maybe this has also made me grow a lot, like joining the dance team.
Yeah, was dancing always a part of you before you come to Thailand?
I would say yes. I have danced really long already. Like I started dancing when I was maybe 4 or something. I started dancing pre-ballet. And at some point when I got older, I changed to dancing hip-hop. First trying all the dance studios near my small town and the other small towns, and then like going to the bigger city, joining that dance studio, which was more professional. And I first could join like competitions. So I would say it has always been like a part of my life, a big part of my life. Yeah, because I wanted to be a good dancer, and I loved it, like meeting up with friends that I met at dancing.
Because you came here primarily for like self-discovery, but then you also took like Thai classes, and then you end up feeling like, yeah, you want to go find like, dance troupes maybe to jam and things like that. How did you end up finding this troupe and finding your clique?
So I had been going to dance studios in Bangkok, different dance studios since I came here, which was so nice. I was really hyped up the first time I stepped into the class because it just opened me like a new horizon, like new dance teacher and everything. And at first I wondered, how am I going to join like a dance team? Because for me, it has always been like a dream to be in a bigger crew and like perform on like a bigger stage, maybe even world stage, something like that. which has come like turned into reality now. But I actually discovered this dance team, or like I saw the audition. I found the audition through a member of the movie club. Actually, one movie club member, we talked about dancing, and she like showed me the audition for this dance team in January. Yeah, and I went to the audition. Actually, back then I didn't join the real audition, but they had another audition in March, which I joined. And I joined then to the dance team.
Is there any like language barriers you might have with, joining this dance classes or anything like that? Are there any other foreigners just like you in the class as well?
This is a really good question. I think technically you don't have to speak Thai to go to a dance class in Thailand. A lot of teachers speak English when they teach, also when they see that there are like foreigners. But there are also classes where they just speak Thai, but I think it's still possible for me to follow the class because you see what moves the person shows and like follow along. Regarding the dance team, I think it's more of a challenge just because the dance team is not only the dancing, but it's also like cooperating with the people and of course also making friends with them, talking with them on a daily basis. And I think for me, it's just that I'm a really, ambitious person. Like I want to learn the language and I want to talk with them in Thai, which works. It's often, but I mean, there's also moments where I'm just like frustrated. I feel frustrated because I think it's not going fast enough, which is, I think, not true because I think I'm at a point where I learned really quickly already, but I still want to like push myself to learn more. And I want to be able to speak with everyone in Thai because some people, I think everyone can speak English, but some are not that good at English. But yeah, overall, I think it would also be possible if I didn't speak Thai.
I come to know you as a very like kind and also open-hearted person. And hearing this story doesn't surprise me at all. I am an extrovert. A lot of people around me would also know me as an extrovert. But when it comes to these sort of situations, when I hear these sort of stories, I feel like I would be such an introvert in this sort of like environment. Putting myself in there, I'd be surprised like if I were able to do something like you. But then I'm not surprised that it's coming from you because you're so active, You actively want to engage in the things that you want to do, and you also try your best and don't allow, barriers to stop you from learning and growing and connecting to those who don't speak the same tongue as you. I wonder, throughout the whole process, I know that you are so open-minded and also so engaging with people. Do you ever feel like you don't belong in the group, or are they also automatically really friendly and accepts you into the group? I'm assuming they're all Thai, right? Or mostly Thai?
Yes, mostly
right?
Thai. There are, I think, one Japanese girl and one Chinese girl, and then there used to be another girl. She was from France, but now there's only, I think, 3 of us that are not Thai. And yes, I think it's normal to feel like sometimes you just feel like you don't belong. Like I would say all of the people in the team are really welcoming as well. And I think even if you were like really an shy person, really like introverted that doesn't approach people on their own, they would also, I think, come to you and speak to you. But it's just some moments, some days you feel kind of low, or like you cannot approach people every day the same way. And sometimes it also makes you feel like you don't belong there when they're all like speaking and you're just in the mood of feeling a little down. But I think I try to make myself remember that it's important to keep showing up. I kind of don't like the word, but like keep trying to make yourself do the uncomfortable thing, even in the situation where you feel like, oh, I don't want to like talk to these people that I don't know or do this and that. I think you should like overcome the fear, and make yourself do it, because in the end you will not regret having spent more effort into like trying to not let yourself being brought down by like bad feelings or something. And I just try to see like the days that I don't feel as active in the group, where I feel like, oh, today I cannot speak to anyone in Thai. Like that happens, but I try to not let it bring myself down, because also as you keep saying, you say I'm a like open-hearted and like friendly person that approaches people.
Do you believe that too?
Yes, I try to believe that. No, but actually I would say I'm also a pretty shy person actually, but I just try to not be in certain situations, like when I meet new people, because I don't want to regret having lost the chance to be friends with someone, or like, I just don't want to like regret it in the end that I didn't like, I don't know, approach them. I just want to, because I want to meet a lot of people or make new friends, and I think it's just necessary sometimes to come out of your shell, and I want to be a not shy person. Yeah.
Has this trait always been in you before you come to Thailand? Even when you're back in, Germany, do you also do this? Like, do you also actively approach, new people, new friends the way you do right now?
I would say it has been like a progress that I made. Like, I have not been like this. I used to be really, really shy, like not wanting to talk to new people and being also scared of it. I think like especially COVID has done some things to all of us, but just after that I knew I was like in a place where I was not feeling too comfortable talking to people, but I just wanted to get out of that place because I didn't like the feeling of like feeling not courageous enough to like step out of it and engage with others. And yeah, as I said, I don't want to like regret having not taking the opportunity to talk to someone. And I just, over the years, since I was like, I would say since I was small, I think I try to be more open and like talk with everyone.
When you say that you're trying to be more open and talk to everyone, do you have a specific tip or tricks that you can share, to someone? Like, even for myself, like maybe if you share like your tips and tricks on how you, let's say, force yourself to become more open, I could also borrow that and use it sometimes, because I have so many times when I'm like, oh, I really just don't feel like conversing right now. It's so hard. But then how do you do
I
it?
think it always seems like other people have it all figured out. Like when I see other people, for example, when I see Sony, I feel like, oh, he's like so outgoing. He can talk to anyone. And I think it's great to think in that moment that actually everyone has moments where they don't feel really like confident in like talking to other people, for example. And that's one thing I like to think of, like probably when I meet someone, they also have some percentage, or like to some part, they also feel probably nervous meeting me, that like me, the person that they don't know. And I also like to like mentally kind of prepare myself for meeting new people, just thinking I can do it. Like it's not bad to talk to new people. I can just talk to them like I would talk to my friends. That's one good tip too. Like try to talk to them like they're not strangers, but like friends. And after you found some common ground to talk about, I think it's not that hard anymore, at least for me.
I love that. Thank you for those tips.
Sure.
No problem.
I actually can relate to Noelle quite certain level, because in one of our really early episode, I also share that I used to be a really shy person as well, to the extent of I really don't want to contact with strangers.
Actually, I listened to that episode, and when I heard Sin talk about it, I could really like relate to how she was explaining it. Yes.
Yeah. So well,
I just made me just think of it.
That's why like I also wanna like express how I can relate to what you just shared as well. And again, it's just really the thought of we don't want to regret on certain things, and then in terms of pushing ourselves, stepping out of the comfort zone and really develop that skill of communication and approaching other people. It is something at first it seems difficult, but as we keep on practicing, it's just like muscles, right? Eventually we will feel more comfortable doing that. And it doesn't mean that we don't get scared anymore. We still feel that, the nervousness whenever we have to, okay, there's a meeting, that's the meeting room, and I'm about to step into that meeting room, knowing that a bunch of people here, I have no idea who they are, but now I will prep myself, switch my mindset and mentality that, okay, once I step into this room, this is what I'm gonna do. It's just like, acting. You now have a character on you, and then you step into that room. Hey guys, I am an extrovert now. Like I can approach anyone. Like if I am going to like a conference, like business conference, meeting business people, I will try to put on a character that, okay, I'm also a business person right now. Once I step into this room, I am going to behave or act like a business person, and I will know clearly what I will be talking with certain people. I think, like it's really about pushing ourselves to do the things that we know will benefit us in long term as well.
I can only agree to that. And I think it's also important to, like, it's different from every situation. Like if it's a work situation or meeting new people, like in a more casual way situation, is really different, like how you gonna act. But in the end, it's all just about like trying to make the step, which is, of course, also, as you said, like it's never not scary. Like I think it will always be kind of scary, but I think, as you said, it's like muscle memory when you learn a dance, to make to link it back to my dancing. Just like getting more used to this uncomfortable situation, it will get less uncomfortable over time.
Have you always been this way in terms of like you've changed yourself since you were in Germany, or is this a part of you that you learned to develop and hone on the skills after having been here? Because I would assume that the social skills that you would need is a lot more intense here because of the language difference, cultural differences. So I would say that in a way sort of make sense, because you did say, when we did ask you earlier, is it that you've taken anything away so far, being here, has anything changed or things like that? But then you were hesitant at that time. But then I'm actually picking up so many things that you're sharing to us, the things that I feel like throughout your journey here, you've grown so much, your story about how you persevered through conversing with people that don't speak the same language, and and not just that, but then just like internal works of how you manage your own way of dealing with these sort of situations. I feel like that's something that came from these sort of stories that you've shared, but I'm wondering, like, has this been something that you've always done, or this is something that you've developed even stronger now?
I think I've always been doing that, also in Germany, I would say. But I think what adds onto it here is, when I came here, I had more the feeling of I don't know anyone, which kind of took away the pressure, which maybe doesn't make sense if you think about it as in like meeting new people. But like in Germany, I would go somewhere with, for example, like friends I already knew, and it's like you never so free like the way you are when you go to a new country where you don't meet anyone new. And I think that's what changed about it, because here I truly knew no one, and like when I talked to someone, it was how to say, chapter one, like really new situation and not anything linked to the past. And that was also really cool, I think. Like just the, how to say, newity.
The freshness of, all the situation.
The freshness, yes.
So speaking of regrets so far, do you have any regrets at all throughout your gap year that you've spent for 8 months?
I think my biggest regret sounds like I have many regrets, but one regret, let's say like this, one regret that I have is probably in January and February, I moved houses, also like apartment. I moved from living with people, like I used to live in a house with Thai people, and it was kind of like shared apartment situation where I had my own room and we would share like the living room. I had to sadly move out of that space and had to find a new room for myself. And after that, I felt kind of lonely because I think we didn't talk about it yet, but coming to a new country and basically not knowing anyone really close, sometimes it gets lonely. And in January and February, it made me kind of forget the excitement that I first had when I came. And like, because this excitement used to be my source of motivation to like discover everything and go to this event and look at this beautiful thing and go out, do that thing. But then in January, February, it was kind of like I forgot about that excitement, and it was just like I was kind of feeling a little low at that time, not finding the energy maybe to like meeting new people or like talking to people that I've already met that much. And in that situation, maybe like my biggest regret would be that I forgot about this excitement which is also naturally, I guess after some months you like the excitement just, how to say, vanishes and everything turns like into normality. But yeah, ever since then, as I also already mentioned, I try to like see the good things that I have and take this as my motivation to keep me going forward.
Just to make sense of it a little bit more, did the experience of you were saying about how you lived with people, you missed that sort of feeling? Is that what you're trying to say, that you prefer having people around you so you didn't feel lonely? Or was it the opposite way where you're with people but then you felt lonely even with them?
I think it was because I didn't live with people, because I like living with people. I think I kind of got used to it now more, but I think it's also that at the start of moving somewhere new, you don't have that many things to like hold on to, like ground yourself with, and that can make you feel lonely, even though you might meet someone new and meet new friends and talk with them. But it's not like at home you have, like, for example, your family that you always talk to and you always know you can go back there. So I think it's also connected to that. Like I kind of felt like I was living alone and everything like that I could ground myself with was kind of far away. But that changed also, that feeling, because in March my dad came to visit me, and I realized like I was in a not that good place in February, and I just wanted to change it because I was kind of tired of the situation. Yeah.
I think that the moral of the story that you shared is very touching to me, and I think it's a kind reminder again of how every decision in life that we make has a duality to it. So not everything is black or white, like there's both black and white inside. So sort of like it could be in the gray zone. So we talked about how, there's pros and cons of gap year, but then now we're talking about, decisions within the decisions that we've made. And I feel like that's also an interesting highlight point that I got from what you just said, because you chose to have a gap year. Sin just talked about how there's a sense of freedom that comes with going somewhere new and starting everything. But then at the same time, Noelle, you just mentioned about being needing the sense of groundedness as well of like the people around you and things like that. So it's interesting to see that there's, all these things that are into play. And what I got from it is like every decision that we make has a duality, and it is up to us to sort of grasp and remind ourselves of the beautiful things. Going back to the very beginning of what we've discussed, right? Like, don't forget the beautiful things and the purpose of why you chose your decision in the beginning. Because if we forget those purpose and those decisions, we may end up lost and feeling like we're all alone. So, like Noelle, that story really touched me.
Wow, you said it really freely, like I got goosebumps.
Thank you. And just so that we don't end it too negatively into this like really dark zone, I feel like I've been wanting to ask this since the beginning as well. Then let's sum it all up. And what are some of the positive things and the benefit things that you felt like this gap year has given you, besides from, getting to learn a new language perhaps, and meeting and learning a new culture, meeting new friends, getting to do what you love, like dancing and being a part of a big troupe that's traveling around the world now, Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Doing all these things, what are some of the just benefits, big or small, that you felt like has affected you and your decision that you've taken this gap year and your growth?
In Germany, my life was kind of tied to routine. And ever since I came here, there was basically almost no responsibility that I had. And it was really like nice to find my own, or like figure out my own, like, it sounds, I don't know, my own way of living. Just like how I manage my time, like where I go, because I was so like free to do whatever I want. Also, one big positive thing was like all the great things that I can like experience here. Like, I just really appreciate, for one example, that in Thailand, or like at least in Bangkok, there's so many like free events, and it's just nice to go there, No, but like, for example, I've been to like 3 concerts that were free of like relatively big artists that are like Thai artists, for example, Your Mood, if you know them, and it was awesome. So that's a good thing. But I mean, that's also probably not the normal thing for everyone, but to make it more general, like just taking advantage of the good things in the place that you're staying. Like, for example, here, I really love the food. I really love that it's almost at all daytime available on the street. And just like taking advantage of that, or like, as I said, with the with the concert events, or like anything like that comes your way that you think is a great opportunity, just taking that opportunity. Also, like, I met someone that, like a friend that I could that made me, through who I could try modeling for the first time, which was also really nice. Or now I'm here on the podcast, which is also really cool. So just like having new opportunities come my way that I can like take.
Sob. Yeah, no, I feel like crying for some reason.
Really?
So, Noelle, you really open my, well, not open my eyes, but also like, I feel like, wow, today I am only starting to know you, like Noelle. Like, I know in the past we've seen each other for quite several times, but it's mostly during our movie club, and we didn't really get much time to have this kind of conversation, this kind of talk, which is so lovely today that you're here to share, everything with us, and for us to get to know you more. And I am really, honestly, quite surprised that, wow, you're such a mature person, to the level that I feel like, oh, so this is the true Noelle. right? And what you've just shared to me is literally also what we're trying to advocate for all of the young adults as well. Grasp the opportunity and know that actually these opportunities happens everywhere, anytime. And you, as long as you want it, you can just go get it. It could be all of the free events, like you said, that is presented everywhere. I do believe that even if it's not in Thailand, there will be other free events, or big or small. It could be a small activities. It could be a small gatherings. I know some place somewhere they host things for free. And these are all different kind of opportunities that anyone, as long as you want to, you can grab it. And your story is a great example of, because you just want to try new things. And that's why you are presented with several opportunities and they're all free. And you're able to actually try, like dancing, listening to free concerts, doing modeling. If you did not actually have that mindset of, yeah, I am open to trying things, you wouldn't see all of this offer as an opportunity. They would just be existing and you're like, yeah, I am still me doing nothing over here. I'm just here to experience life, right? So you're such a great example of, I would say, yes, self-growth, self-discovery. Even though right now you still say that, yeah, I'm still exploring myself, still discovering myself. I think that is also valid, because like we all agree that our life, human, we're constantly changing. So that means we're also constantly exploring and discovering ourselves. There's no way that we can stop discovering who we are if we are continuously changing, right? So it makes sense to me that there is no solid answer to actually 100% finding out who we are. But there is always, in my opinion, an answer to finding what do we want to do right now at this very moment. Yeah.
And with that said as well, I want to thank Noelle for coming in to speak with us and sharing us your story, Noelle. It's really been such a privilege, like hearing that you also mentioned about free events and, how you go around all these free events. I really want to thank the universe for bringing us together, and for you for having chosen to come to one of our events in the past, that one time for us to get to know each other. Literally, whenever you're in the room, it lights up the room and we're always like, Noelle's here! Seriously, we're all so excited. And, all the interns that has ever worked with us, they're always so excited to see you there. And, a few of us also went out with you, dancing and friendships were formed, and even us now, getting to be connected this way. I'm really happy and really grateful for all of this. I have one last question before we end this whole podcast, this episode. Are you, after this year of gap year, are you ready to go back to school?
Tough question. Actually, yes, because I'm a person that likes to... Actually, I also kind of, as much as I've been speaking of freedom and doing this and that, I like routine too. I like having a goal that I work towards, and that's why I'm also kind of excited to go to university, even though I still don't know what I'm going to study as of now. But yeah. And I also want to thank you for your sweet word. It's so cute. And to all the listeners, maybe a conclusion would be, don't be scared and take the opportunities that come your way, or something like that. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well said by Noelle. Well, time really flies like a UFO. We always have such a great time chatting with our lovely friends and being inspired by their stories and getting to know them a bit more. We hope that you also had a great time listening to us and that we have brightened up your day. Until our next episode, feel free to follow us on Instagram at MEGOODYTH for the latest updates and events. Once again, thank you for tuning into this episode of Buddy Time, and we'll see you soon.